When you found Jodie, did you know it was murder?
They saw my mom laying on the bed. She knew immediately seeing it that it was a crime.
She had been struck in the head and been suffocated as well.
Did they actually brag about the killing?
I was appalled. It was disgusting.
Hi, I'm Nancy O'Dell. Today's Crime Exposé takes us to Palo, Iowa. A wife and mother of a blended family was found dead in her own home. A last-minute camping trip set the stage for an intruder to strike her down. Police uncovered digital evidence that shocked even veteran investigators and nailed a killer. Palo, Iowa is a small farming community outside of Cedar Rapids. 58-year-old Jodie Bevans, a registered nurse, had stayed home while the rest of the family went camping.
My mom was a nurse. She was a healer, was very dedicated to her job. She always put her patients first. That was why she was not there that first night, was she had to work. She was going to be coming Friday night to join us at the campground.
Strangely, Jodie didn't show up for work that day and never arrived at the campsite. When Jodie's family was unable to reach her, they returned home, worried what they might find.
There was a lot of concern. It was very out of her character, not showing up for work and not showing up for camping. We knew that there was something wrong. We had no idea what we were going to walk into, but we knew it wasn't going to be anything good at that point.
I had received a phone call from the sergeant who was on duty. He responded to a welfare check at a house out in the country. The people that had called in said the lady that lived there, Jodie Bevans, was supposed to be at work and hadn't shown up.
I work for the state homicide unit. We were notified by the Benton County Sheriff's Office that there was a suspicious death at a little farmhouse.
My sister and my dad got to the house and the front door was locked, so they had to break in through a window. And that was when they saw my mom laying on the bed. My sister is a cop, so she knew immediately that it was foul play and pushed everybody out of the house so that it could be properly investigated.
This scene was a little unusual. Almost every member of the family was already there, waiting outside. It becomes a bit chaotic when all the family members are there.
Jodie Bevans, a beloved wife and mother, was dead, the victim of a homicide. So how tough was it for you to respond to a potential homicide in your own community? Because I can't imagine that you would ever become immune to this.
I've responded to a handful of homicides. Being a small community, you don't get a lot of those. So there's always this sense of dread when you get that kind of a call. And going into the house and seeing her, there was definitely that sense of dread that, yeah, this was probably everything that you wish it wasn't.
There was an obvious bruise on the left side of her face, which I have often described as getting punched in the face or struck in the face with an object. You could see that the bruising and swelling had started. And then there were things that just appeared to be staged around her body.
Jodie's left side of her face had what appeared to be an open wound where there had been bleeding.
So what tipped you off at the crime scene that everything wasn't as it appeared to be?
The way her phone and glasses were set up, you could tell kind of all of that was just neatly placed for us to find.
Our whole entire world has just been flipped upside down. She was our rock. We didn't know what to do. We didn't believe it. Didn't want to believe it.
Police separately interviewed family members to reconstruct a timeline of Jodie Bevans' last hours alive. At this point, they couldn't rule out anyone as a suspect.
It was scary. We had no idea what was going to happen from there after we were all getting questioned.
A couple of things you always look for is opportunity and motive in these types of cases. But when you assess the victim's husband in this case, he appeared to be somewhat with some physical issues where he may not have been able to commit this crime. But again, when you look at the circumstances, that he's someone you have to consider.
The possibilities are endless, so we have to tread carefully with family there. Any one of them could be a possibility, including anybody that lived in that house.
After searching the house, investigators saw no sign of a break-in or robbery. Other than the suspicion that the crime scene had been staged, there were no arrows pointing at anyone. The murder of Jodie Bevans, a well-liked member of the community, made the investigators' job even harder. But then, some family members spoke the unthinkable.
From the time I stepped out of my car to the time I came into the house, there was lots of whispers in my ear that I need to be looking at Samantha Bevans, which would have been the victim's stepdaughter. She had just been kicked out of the house.
It was our understanding that she had a methamphetamine addiction. Jodie was trying to get her cleaned up. We were hearing stories that in the past, Jodie was starting to get scared of her because she was very volatile. There was a boyfriend that was a part of her life that had caused trouble with the family in the past.
When they were interviewing us, we all told them the same two names, individually and as a group. Samantha Bevans and Tekoa Talley. Samantha Bevans was my sister.
The information sent the investigation into overdrive. Police had identified 2 suspects, and they needed to speak with them. Iowa and Benton County homicide investigators learned from the victim's family that Jodie Bevans' killer may have been her stepdaughter, Samantha. It was a shocking development that stunned the community.
Samantha was very distraught over some of the things that happened in her life, and she blamed Jodie for all of it. Maybe most of Samantha's issues centered around her meth addiction.
Samantha was actually living there and had just recently gotten kicked out and had just recently lost her kids. And she blamed a lot of that on Jodie. And there was already a threat that she was going to be going to the house.
Locating Samantha Bevans and her boyfriend was easier said than done. Police said the 2 suspects were on the run and chasing the next meth hit.
Their first reaction was, okay, we need to find these 2 and figure out if this is actually who did it.
Samantha's boyfriend was Tekoa Talley. He had just been released from jail a couple of days prior. The hard part with people like that, with Tekoa and Samantha and their lifestyle, was they were often homeless. They would often bounce between drug houses, that sort of thing.
You 2 were sisters in a blended family. So what might have led Samantha to do this?
Samantha and I were the closest in age. I was the youngest, and her and I were really close. I was always the one that would help her when everyone else was done. She was heavily addicted to meth. She would smoke marijuana and drink.
We tracked her down to a hotel at a casino. And myself, Inspector Villada, and another agent went to her door. And for quite a while, she would not let us inside the hotel room. She just stood with the door barely cracked open. She sounded very paranoid.
Investigators say they knew that Samantha was involved in Jodie's murder and that somehow they had to work around her meth addiction to get her to talk.
We spent the next maybe half hour to 45 minutes trying to convince her that we were the police. In fact, she actually didn't even believe that Jodie was dead, let alone had been murdered. She was very almost dismissive of having anything to do with it. Even though I truly believe she knew we were the police, I think she was just trying to buy time before she had a talk with us.
She was acting like an addict. She was very all over the place with her emotions, and she was acting like someone that wanted to talk about anything but Jodie Bevans.
Samantha dodged, weaved, and gave up little about Jodie's death, and police ended the interview. They continued their search for her boyfriend with plans to interview him and possibly make an arrest. Meanwhile, the autopsy report confirmed their suspicions about Jodie's death.
According to the autopsy, she had been struck. in the head and had actually been suffocated as well. So the autopsy was pretty revealing, but not necessarily all that surprising.
So at this point, the thing that's running through my mind is leading me to think that she was, if not absolutely involved, knew exactly what had happened.
So after that first interview with Samantha and her boyfriend, they take off. They're on the run.
Yeah, they actually started bouncing between hotels. You have to look at post-incident behavior. How do people act after the incident? And they certainly weren't staying in a location where they could be found. They were at each location for about a day.
It was 3 weeks that they were on the run, and they were just kind of watching them, letting the case kind of build.
With little physical evidence, there was nothing to charge the pair with, even though police believed Samantha and her boyfriend were the killers. Then, a police subpoena of Samantha's phone, which also tapped into her Snapchat account, blew the case wide open.
I was actually sitting at my kitchen table and I hit play on some random video, and this confession plays. And my wife is standing there kind of in shock, as am I, because she's like, is that someone confessing to murder that you're playing for me?
Usually, it just doesn't come to you gift wrapped like that. It was a combination of horror and elation at the same time, because you've just gotten the information that you needed.
Finding the co-conspirators would prove more difficult than stumbling upon a confession from Samantha Bevans and Tekoa Talley. Once Samantha Bevans and her boyfriend were identified as the primary suspects in the murder of Jodie Bevans, police subpoenaed her phone records. Hidden in the digital space of Samantha's Snapchat account, they discovered a smoking gun.
Something on Snapchat called Snapchat Memories, where you actually can save your message forever. A couple days after the murder, Samantha and Tekoa decided to make a celebratory video, basically saying that they killed Jodie Bevans, and they were actually pretty proud of themselves for doing it. And I'm like, holy cow, I can't believe it. I actually found a confession on a search warrant.
I killed her. Killed her myself.
And I knew that this was happening, so good job.
We killed her. We killed her. We thought about it, planned it out perfectly.
This was what we were looking for. This was the piece of evidence that was really going to bring it all home.
I can't even imagine. What was the family's reaction to the video that Samantha made? Because she seems gleeful, pretty proud of what she did.
The detectives showed us her Snapchat video, and I was appalled. It was disgusting. She was so proud of herself and what she had just done. We didn't know what to do. We didn't know how to process it. We didn't know what to think. My sister, my dad's daughter, had just murdered his wife, my mom, and bragged about it on social media about how proud she was about what she just did. It was traumatizing to see that video.
I don't know how you can watch that and say either one of them was being forced into making that. They both seemed relatively at ease and almost happy about it. So the disdain that Samantha showed for Jodie in that video was quite honestly disgusting.
The video was the evidence police needed to charge the pair. But the killers were still on the loose, and police learned that they had made threats against other family members.
It was very difficult. We were on high alert, looking over our shoulders every single day. They had a list, and Jodie just happened to be the first one. I was actually on the list as well. And my sister was supposed to move in with me that week that it happened.
There was now an even greater urgency to arrest the killers. Police eventually located Tekoa Talley, who surprisingly was already in custody elsewhere.
We ended up making contact with him at a jail because he'd been arrested on a different charge for a different matter. So we sat down with him to try to talk to him, and he refused to tell us anything.
We weren't able to find Samantha until she landed at kind of like this weird halfway house. It's Actually, a very kind woman who kind of took in people that were drug addicts and tried to help them turn their life around.
When we showed up, we kind of showed her the video and said, you need to talk to us. And that came to another surreal moment where Samantha asked if we could pray together. So I'm sitting next to this woman who has murdered Jodie, and I'm thinking, I'm entering into the twilight zone here. She admitted a limited part in what had happened, and at that point, she was placed under arrest.
Detectives then discovered more incriminating evidence. Samantha had scribbled a prophetic note the day of Jodie's murder, a new low for this wicked stepdaughter.
But Samantha had wrote a to-do list for the day of the murder, and the first thing to do that day was kill Jodie.
Samantha Bevans and Tekoa Talley were both charged with first-degree murder. They faced a mountain of evidence, including the video confession, which Samantha posted.
Initially, Tekoa says nothing. When he gets to trial, of course, he blames it all on Samantha based on the Snapchat video, that sort of thing. She tried to blame Tekoa for everything that happened. It's kind of an easy play for both of them since they were both there. And it's easy to say, hey, this is what happened, but I didn't do it, they did it.
Samantha's trial was even worse, and yet she took the stand at her own trial, and we had to sit there and listen to that. Her defense was to try and say that he made her do it, the whole battered woman syndrome. She was innocent, and he basically forced her.
Pointing a finger at each other was Samantha and her boyfriend's only defense, but the jury saw through it.
She was a great mom. She was a great grandma. She did everything for everyone and just loved so fully.
Samantha Bevans was found guilty of killing her stepmother, Jodie Bevans. Her boyfriend, Tekoa Talley, was also convicted of murder and received the same sentence, life without parole. Neither has ever accepted responsibility or expressed remorse for the heinous murder. And now, it's time for today's Safety Spotlight. When someone reveals their true nature, take it as a fact. Never underestimate or dismiss a threat. Consider its seriousness and act accordingly. Get law enforcement involved immediately and file a police report. Having police documentation and a paper trail can help deter further violence. If the threats continue or escalate, you could obtain a restraining order as suggested by a professional. Your safety and well-being are non-negotiable. And if you or someone you know is experiencing verbal or physical abuse, the National Domestic Violence Hotline is available 24/7, 365 days a year. Call 1-800-799-SAFE. I'm Nancy O'Dell. For everyone here at Crime Exposé, please join us next time and stay safe.